It is the longest hand-painted mural in the world. The mural does document the histories of ethnic peoples and was created between 1976 and 1983. It really challenged the official narrative before its time. The Great Wall of Los Angeles stands as the largest monument to interracial harmony in America today. The original vision was to create a visual representation of history from prehistoric times through the 20th century. The artistic director of the project was Judith F. Baca, and her vision came from her idea and training in community development, but also her work in the Baca School of Muralism in Mexico. And the idea was about collaboration. Essentially, her idea was to engage youth and community in the creation of a public space. So, meaning that an individual artist wasn't hired to create the work. In fact, it took an entire community to create it. Her very first idea was to engage youth in the project, giving them an opportunity to be trained as painters, as researchers. But many of the first opportunities were given to youth that had been in trouble with the law. And the idea here was to partner with organizations to reduce recidivism. Once a youth goes to jail or probation camp, chances of them going back are pretty high. So this program gave them an opportunity to be trained in new skills, to be paid over 9 weeks in the summer, but also to work with different people of different socioeconomic backgrounds. And the idea here was to empower them, but also to empower the public and to beautify public space. So the mural is a collaborative piece of work. The inputs, the history was all gathered through personal narratives, which makes it quite unique. That the history wasn't just about going to an encyclopedia and reading about it, but really meeting with the people that lived it and creating a visual narrative for it. In the 1970s, you didn't see the stories of the Tongva and Chumash native peoples and their presence and contributions to the region. You didn't see images of LGBT rights. You didn't see images of the deportation of Mexican Americans or the internment of the Japanese. The Great Wall was already visually documenting these events before they were even accepted by, the California school system for publication of books. So it was well ahead of its time, and many people would challenge the content of work. Also, it was a suburban community, no people of color, and many of the youth and the mural makers faced a lot of challenges because they weren't wanted there. So the LAPD would watch them, they would be harassed at times, criticized for the content, but in the end, the work is still there. It's now being embraced by the community. Obviously, I've seen socio and political shifts in LA since the 70s that allow for the mural now to be embraced as an important part of the history of muralism in the city. We have just received funding from the National Endowment of the Arts to begin research on the 1960s and 70s section. And those are currently being drawn up here at SPARC. The next step is to actually, get funding to create the 80s and 90s and then begin the actual production. And the vision for the next stage of the production will be digital in process. They will be digitally hand-rendered in studios by community, by youth that are engaged in the project. And somehow, some way, through research, we will actually be able to transfer these images that are created in digital space onto substrates that get adhered on the channel of the LA River. And there's a lot of research and chemistry in that, but that's sort of the vision for the next step.